This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, Wayne Kay.
Wayne, alcoholic.
Wayne.
As I stand here tonight in this moment at the Marina Center, I'm a grateful man, and I'm a humble man, and I'm very happy to be here. This Marina Center is very important to me, warm place in my heart for it. I got sober in the Marina Center. I took my chips in the Marina Center. I had my commitment. I was the cookie guy at this meeting. And I started to learn about the message of recovery and Alcoholics Anonymous here at the Marina Center. I like this building. It's a celebrity-free zone. It's cool. Proletariat. I'm a lower companion. And I got here and I had no idea what was wrong with me. I thought maybe it had something to do with drinking, but I wasn't convinced. Maybe it had something to do with drugs, I'm not sure. And I crashed and burned, you know, I hit a bottom, ended up in the hospital. And they strongly suggested I attend AA meetings, and they bussed us over here. And I liked the group, you know, the feeling I got tonight was like that feeling the first few times I came, you know, it's very powerful support. And encouragement. And I saw people in here that I thought were kind of like me, and they seemed to have a pretty good grip on things. They seemed to have some answers. I liked the speakers, you know, I would come and the speakers would tell these terrible tales of debauchery and car crashes and knife fights, and I really enjoyed them, you know. I thought they were telling me the truth. You know, in life in general, we rarely hear the truth. And the people that would talk at the Marina Center, I thought they were probably telling me the truth. They were doing the kind of things that I did. At least I could, you know, I could identify with it. And I did everything that everyone asked me to do and everyone suggested I do in Alcoholics Anonymous. I wonder, is it Francesca? Is Victoria's house on Herbert, also called Herbert House? No? Well, there's a sober living that I lived in around the corner for over a year, and it was run by Jason Victoria Horowitz. It's called Herbert House. And when I got out of the hospital, they took me around to some sober livings to live in, and I looked at a few of them and I said, I'm not going to live in these places. I mean, you know, I wasn't that dirty drunk. They were kind of like fraternity houses, you know, with cheeseburger wrappers on the floor and all that. And I thought, geez, this, you know. And I went to this place, Herbert House, and it was spick and span, and I said, all right, now we're talking. And Victoria was a very powerful woman. She died, but the house still goes on. Her husband still runs it. And one day she came in and she said, well, you know, have you got this floor cleaned up? And I said, yeah, I cleaned it up. And she said, I don't know, it don't look clean. Now, don't get me started because you get my alcoholism going. And I never heard alcoholism illustrated in that kind of way. Because I knew she had, you know, she wasn't drinking. She had time in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I knew there was something there that I didn't know about. And people told me in Alcoholics Anonymous that, you know, find people that look like they've got it going on and see what they did. Go talk to them. Have lunch with them. Find out what's going on with them. And I would do that because I had no idea what was wrong with me. I knew that I needed to change, that I couldn't live the way I was living. But on my own, I never could change. And I meant well, I just couldn't do well. I would mean it. I would say, today, you know, I'm not going to shoot dope today. And I would swear it, and I'd mean it with all my heart, and at 6 o'clock, I'd change my mind. And I do it over and over again. I start to wonder about my own sanity, not inaccurately, because sane people don't do that. Average people can make a decision, and then that's their decision, and they go about their biz. I make a decision, then I change my mind. I go back in the other direction. And I get whipsawed back and forth in my decision making. It upsets me. Something's wrong with me. I came here because I had to change, and I heard that there was talk of a message in Alcoholics Anonymous. But I keep coming to the meetings, and I wasn't hearing the message. I heard these great stories, but I didn't hear the message. The speaker would talk for 35, 40 minutes, and all this terrible stuff, you know, and the thrilling adventures. And in the end, he'd say, yeah, but man, now I got a sponsor, I got God in my life, I've got a great life, thanks for letting me share. And I'd say, could we back up a little bit on the part right from the end of the really bad stuff to the good life? Because I rarely heard anybody talk about how do you do this? What is the message of recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous? So today, I can tell you what the message is. And the message is that you can change by building a new character with a method in 12 steps and a power greater than human power for a good life. That's the name of the game here, a good life. I was exposed to some radical ideas in Alcoholics Anonymous. Ideas like time does not treat alcoholism. I had to look at that. Well, that seemed to run against the conventional wisdom. But if time treated alcoholism, people wouldn't go out. I hear about people with lots of time, they drink again. If time was, if we needed a certain amount of time to be cured from alcoholism, we would get that time, whatever it was, 5 years, 5 months, 15 years, and then we'd be done. We'd be all right. But we don't get cured by time. Time is the benefit that we have. Time is the result that we get. I was exposed to a radical idea that attendance at meetings does not treat alcoholism, which also seemed to confuse me. But even Bill Wilson says attendance at meetings is a perfectly good substitute for drinking. Drinking was not my problem. My problem was I can't live in the world. I can't live with people. I can't get along with people. That's my problem. Drinking and drugs was my solution. When I got high, I got some relief. I got a break. Unfortunately, drinking and drugs have side effects. Prison, bankruptcy, divorce, and the whole litany. I had to find out more about what I'm up against, because I had no idea what alcoholism is, except the word that we throw around in Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholism, well, you must be alcoholic. You got alcoholism. You're in AA. So I didn't know what was wrong with me. You know, I get upset. I don't understand why I do the things I do. I end up, circumstances happen, and then I'm in a jackpot again, and I don't know what happened. Why did that happen again? And I find out a little bit about it. You know, I start to scratch the surface on it. That Dr. Silkworth says that the disease is centered in my mind, not in my body. We describe it as a twofold disease, a physical allergy, which is treatable Same as if I was allergic to strawberries. Don't eat strawberries, my lips don't swell up. My wife's allergic to Brazil nuts. She don't eat Brazil nuts, her airway doesn't close. That's an allergy. It's the same with me. I can't take a shot of heroin like regular people. But the other part of this disease, the mental obsession, is the thing that I had to find out about. And I believe many people in Alcoholics Anonymous believe that it's a mental obsession for drugs and alcohol. It's not. It's a mental obsession for anything my mind touches. Any subject that I'm interested in, any activity, I obsess on them. My problems are a good one. I obsess on problems. And obsession is a circular mental process. It doesn't stop. It goes around and around. I got a problem, and I'm chewing on it and chewing on it. I can think the corners off a square and make it a circle. Around, I go to sleep at night. I wake up in the morning, still going around. That's an obsession. I used to think that was thinking. That's not thinking. That's obsessing. And I do that with everything. I do that with work. I do that with sex. I certainly did it to a fair degree with drugs and alcohol. I do it with trouble. I do it with fun. Whatever it is, I obsess. That this mental obsession starts to lead me in a direction to kind of get an awareness of what I'm up against. It's a mental problem. I have a mental disorder. I'm in fact mentally ill. It's an awful thing to admit. I don't want to admit it. I think, well, I work, I have friends, sort of, I'm not mentally ill. But people that aren't mentally ill don't do the kind of things I do. That it's my thought life that's unmanageable. I have an unmanageable thought life. I can't work through things. I can't, my mind just goes. I'm talking to myself all the time. It's a self-talking disease. I have a constant monologue going with me about everything and everybody all the time. And I'm figuring things out, and then I listen to what I say to myself, and then I act on it, and then I get in trouble. Then I do it again. This is the story of my life. It's a repeat performance. I do it over and over. And I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I stop drinking and stop taking drugs, and I find out that's not the end of my self-talking. That's not the end of my obsessing. In fact, I'm worse sober than I was when I was drinking, because I don't get a break now. Now I got just my thoughts, and they just go on and on and on. And that's sober with time in Alcoholics Anonymous. But I got to find out how this disease, and it is a disease. It's a disease that's recognized by the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association. It's diagnosable. It's primary. It's not as a result of some other thing that was wrong with me. It's treatable, not unlike high blood pressure or diabetes. There's a treatment for it. If I take the treatment, I can have a good life. It's a progressive disease, which means it always gets worse. It never just goes away. And untreated, it's a fatal disease. See, if I don't know what's wrong with me, if I don't know how this disease functions, at least have an awareness, scratch the surface on what's wrong with me, then none of this means anything. The books mean nothing. They're just words. They're just books. The meetings it's nice, it's friendly, it's fun, feel good here, but it doesn't treat what's wrong with me if I don't know what I'm up against. And I'm up against me. I'm up against self. Self is in step 3, when we ask God to remove us from the bondage of self, that's me. I've seen the enemy. It's me. It's not you. It's not the police. It's not them. It's not the business world. It's not her. It's me. It's my mind that's unmanageable. It's my mind that's a self-talking mind. It's my mind that's an obsessive mind. And it's that way, drunk or sober. This is what I'm up against in Alcoholics Anonymous. The treatment program of Alcoholics Anonymous is designed to treat this problem, this mental disorder. It's a training program. I think of it as a training program to build a new character. See, if I take my car to the mechanic and the mechanic doesn't know anything about motors, he can't fix the car. If he doesn't know anything about compression or gas flow, how's he going to repair it? If I don't know anything about what's wrong with me, what are steps for? What are meetings for? Why am I coming to Alcoholics Anonymous? For me, I had to know. I had to know what the hell's wrong. What's my problem? I heard about a guy who was one of the architects of our recovery program. His name is Dr. Harry Tebow. Dr. Tebow has been kicked to the curb around here, and I'm endeavoring to tell a little bit of his story and his work. Dr. Tebow was a psychiatrist who tried to treat alcoholics in the 30s and 40s with Freudian psychiatry and didn't meet much success. But there was this new group, Alcoholics Anonymous, and they were having some success, so he studied our methods and our principles and our techniques, and he became a member of Alcoholics Anonymous by proxy. He wasn't an alcoholic. He put up the money for the first edition of the Big Book. And he studied how we did things, and he wrote a series of papers. And from the psychological perspective, what was alcoholism? One was on what is surrender. We talk about surrender a lot. It's a word in our vocabulary. We have a series of words that we use over and over and over again, and no one ever explained these words to me. So I went out to find out what the hell these words mean. What does it really mean? That he wrote a paper on compliance versus surrender. But the one that helped me the most was one on the ego factors in alcoholism. And the papers were impossible to read in the beginning. The disease itself stopped me from reading them. I'd look at them and I'd say, that's good stuff. I'll get to that someday. Oh man, that's brilliant. Yeah, someday I'll put that away for now. Because the disease itself won't let things in. Because this disease functions on a level below consciousness. It functions on a level of my feelings, not on my mind, not on the conscious things I'm thinking about. That's why I keep getting tripped up. Consciously, I'd decide something, but later I felt I better do something different. And the feelings are very powerful, and they always win. And I don't know what it is. To find out more about this ego, and Tebow's work has been incorporated in the 12 and 12. It's not so much of it's in the Big Book, but later on, 13 years after the Big Book, when the 12 and 12 was written, a great deal of Dr. Tebow's work is incorporated in there, and we talk a lot about alcoholism, ego, and self. Tebow explained to me, I read these things for my life, because my life's important to me today. I didn't know what my life was when I got here. I thought my life was my living, the things I did out in the world and the people I knew and the stuff I owned. I thought that was my life, like my work. I thought my job was my life. I am not what I do for a living. I had no idea of this concept of character. And it's over and over in our literature that spiritual values and character building have to come first. But no one ever talked to me about character. I didn't really get it. I didn't know what that meant. But the character is the man that I am, who I say I am. Am I the guy that does what he says he's going to do? Am I the guy that can be there for somebody else? Can I be a brother to my sisters? Can I be a friend to my friends? I had no idea about these things when I got here, none whatsoever. And of course, I couldn't do any of those things. As an alcoholic, I have the complete inability to be a true partner to another human being. It's always, I come first. Sure, you can come first, right after me. And I never did anything unless there was something in it for me. And I was disingenuous. You know, I would wear faces. I'd be false. Like if I liked you and you had something that I wanted, I'd butter up to you. But you got nothing for me, so I got nothing for you. I couldn't be the same guy I couldn't be the same guy to a cab driver as I was to someone in business. I couldn't be the same guy to a waiter as I had this flexible morality. And morality is the key to what we do in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, what we're taught here is an ethical code of conduct, a way to live, principles. We talk a lot about principles. Principles are fundamental truths from which all other truths come. Thibault talks about 4 characteristics that all alcoholics share. And I have to read these things for my life and say, well, is this me? Because first I have to be self-honest. Step 1, one of the principles in step 1 is self-honesty. Now that means, don't lie to you. That's important. But more important, don't lie to me. That I don't lie to myself. When I look in the mirror, who do I see? So I have to be convinced absolutely that I am alcoholic. I have alcoholism. I have this mental disorder, and I acquired it over the course of my life. From the time I left home, I decided I want to smoke weed, I'm smoking weed. I want to drink beer, I'm drinking beer. If I want to shoot dope, I'm shooting dope, because I'm grown, I'm 17. And so over my whole life, I did things on my schedule, according to my wishes and my fears or my ambitions. And I had drive, I'm pushing forward, I'm going to get there, I'm going to be somebody. Character. The character I brought here to Alcoholics Anonymous is fully formed. It's already in place. But we're talking about building a new character. So first I have to identify, and this is where Thibault says, first thing that all alcoholics share, these ego factors, is omnipotence. And it comes from when I was born. I'm in the womb, all my needs are met, I'm perfect. I'm not lonely, I'm not tired, I'm not hungry. And then I get plopped out here and stuff gets complicated. And I don't know how to get my needs met. Sigmund Freud calls it His Majesty the Baby. You hear it around AA, King Baby. It's a common expression. That's where it comes from. That I little kids, the baby is the king. Everybody sucks up to the baby. The baby's upset. Oh, let me hold the baby. And that's the feeling we get in the beginning of life, that we're the center of the universe. We're omnipotent, omnipotence. Can't stand frustration. Baby can't get the bottle, can't get the toy, needs his diaper changed. He pitches a bitch. That's all he knows how to do. He doesn't know how to say, hey, excuse me, but could you get me to the bathroom? This omnipotence, the king can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. And the king has to be afforded royal treatment when he goes somewhere. Thibault talks about, this inability to handle frustration and immaturity. And I read these things for myself. Well, am I like that? I'm a grown man. I started reading this stuff. I was 50 years old, and I realized I might be 50 on the outside, but, I don't get my way. I'm a 2-year-old. I pitch a bitch. Maybe I modulate it a little bit. I hide it better than I did when I was 2, but it's the same thing. This is what Thibault says, is that what happens is there's a holdover of the infantile psyche in the adult alcoholic. He talks about defiance, omnipotence, defiance. Am I defiant? I got to look at my life. Well, let's see. I'm anti-war. but I'm also a member of a radical political group that blew up the CIA office, so I'm anti-peace. Am I defiant? I don't like policemen. I'm an outsider. Any club that would have me, I refuse to join. Am I defiant? I mean, it's like, the character in The Wild One, and the girl from the town says, well, gee, Johnny, what are you rebelling against? Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. And he said, well, what do you got? That's me. I identify with these things. I relate to gangsters and outsiders and mass murderers. I'm interested in all this stuff. I like unpopular authors. William Burroughs and hard drinking Hemingway and Byron and Bukowski is my man. I love these guys. They're all fringe people. They're all outsiders. Am I defiant? I mean, I got to look at my, everything we do in Alcoholics Anonymous is to look inward. I'm talking about me and my life, He talks about grandiosity, omnipotence, defiance, grandiosity. The defiance also takes the form of loving to argue. And I used to love to argue with people about anything, jazz, politics, sports, and I don't know anything about sports. I just like to argue. And either side, it wouldn't matter. Because I think that I know more. It's my problem. And grandiosity, that means, big plans, big schemes, big plots. I'm going to be a big star. My work is godlike. And the other side of that grandiosity, I didn't know about this, ego. We all think of ego as the hard charger, the a-hole type, But there's another side to ego, and that's the depressive. One side's the power driver, the other side's the depressive. Oh man, it doesn't work out for me. I never get it right. It's just like me, I messed it up again. And most of us fall somewhere in there between the two. And the downside of that grandiosity is I'm thin-skinned. And I never knew this about myself, that you can't criticize me. I mean, you can't criticize alcoholics, period. I don't know if you ever tried to straighten an alcoholic out. He wants to argue with you. The kind of work I do, sometimes people might write something in a magazine or something about, they might say, well, Wayne sucks. And I never understood why that would just burn me up. It would burn me up. I couldn't sleep at night. I'd be plotting to go beat this guy up. And, I called one guy up once, a journalist, and I said, why'd you write that stuff about me? He said, gee, Wayne, I write bad stuff about people all the time. You're the only one that ever called me up. That I can't be teased. As a little boy, I couldn't be teased in the schoolyard. If we played the dozens, we're gonna fight. I just couldn't. I would lose it. But to start to identify that grandiosity, like if as an ego-feeding proposition, like if there was a story in a magazine about me, I'd know what day the magazine was coming out, and then I'd go to the newsstand, and there'd be the magazine, and I'd open it up, and I'd read what I said, and look at a picture of me, and then I'd finish it, and then I'd get pissed off because there wasn't more in the same magazine about me. But I never understood that was grandiosity. That's what upsets me. I'm upset all the time. I'm already mad. I don't need a reason to get mad. I'm already mad. I'm irritable. I'm discontented already. That's why drinking works for me. If I drink a glass of whiskey or shoot some heroin, it's guaranteed to change the way I think and the way I feel. The Thibault talks about omnipotence, defiance, grandiosity, and impatience. And these are all, especially the impatience, is a carryover from that infantile stage. Little kids hurry at everything. They run everywhere. But here I am, grown, and I'm in traffic, and I got to get around the guy in front of me. I'm not going to actually get where I'm going any faster. And I've got a whole litany of his problems for not driving better. I'm impatient. I'm always in rehearsal for my life. The thing is going to happen down the line, and I can't wait for the thing to happen because my life is going to be on when the thing happens. You know, when the work happens or when she comes or the check shows up. And then the thing happens and I miss it. I'm not even here for my own life because I'm impatient. I'm always six steps ahead. So I have to identify these things as alcoholism in me, untreated, sober. Sober. These are things that upset me. And these things happen below the level of my consciousness. So to try to at least scratch the surface on them, to get some kind of a sense of what's going on in the deeper layers of my mind. What is my problem? Then I start to get an idea of what steps are designed to treat. And it says right in step 1, glass in hand, I warped my mind. That's what's wrong with me. My mind is warped. I have an unreasoned distortion. I see everything wrong. I see a guy walking down the street. I don't see a guy walking down the street. I see a guy I don't like walking down the street. Maybe it's a racist thing. Maybe it's homophobic. Maybe I just don't like his clothes. But, you know, I've got all these great opinions and they upset me. That my mind is warped. I have to realize these things. I have to know these things about myself. If I can accept these things, if I know them in my soul, in my heart of hearts, I'm rocketed into step 2. Step 2 says that I came to believe in a power greater than human power that can restore me to sanity. We don't mean the difference between schizophrenia or dissociative disorder or bipolar. We mean soundness of mind. That I can think to good purpose, sanity, wholeness of mind. And there's an application in that step. All these steps are to be applied to my life as I live my life in an ongoing living life process. That is the recovery program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's actually not here. It's out there. It's out there as I go about my business in my life. How do I live with people? How do I act with people? Do I live by self? Do I live by alcoholism? Do I live by the old character? Or do I live by principles that are written down, that are offered to me in Alcoholics Anonymous? Am I building a new character, or am I continuing to power up the old character? In that second step, there's 2 principles that I have to apply in my life. The first is an open mind. I used to think that I had an open mind because I had gay friends, lefty political ideas, and I believed in UFOs. It's not an open mind. An open mind is no preconceived ideas, and I have to practice this. I would come to meetings, and could I sit in a meeting and listen to somebody talk without judging him? Could I do that? Because I'm a scorekeeper. That's what I do. I keep score. Well, I like what he said there. I don't like that part. Yeah, he's way off there. That's pretty cool. You know, and I'm not even hearing what he's saying. So what is an open mind? Somebody can tell me something. I don't have to have an opinion about it. It can just lay there, lay on my mind. If what they're telling me is true and real, that'll be revealed. If it's not, that'll be revealed. I don't have to upset myself in the process. I found I could do it here. I could practice it at a meeting. Then I could practice it in business. I could practice it talking to my wife. You know, I want to tell her what she's saying before she's done saying it. Because, you know, I'm like psychic or something. The other main principle in that step is to quit the debating society. And of course that means quit arguing with people about anything. But more than that, it means quit arguing with myself. And that's my problem, is I debate inside my own mind. Well, I really like that, but I like this over here, you know. Well, maybe I should get that? Well, I don't know, man, this looks pretty good. Well, I'm gonna go for that, I'll go for this, go for that. I'll think about it later. I can't hold on to anything. I gotta quit it, quit it, quit it. Came to believe, I only come to believe out of empirical evidence. That I practice this conscious contact with a sacred dimension in my life. That there could be a power greater than me, greater than human power. And there's a great many things that are greater than me. Early man thought that the wind was a god. He thought the rain was a god. He thought mountains were gods. They're all greater than I am. All Alcoholics Anonymous asks of me is that I accept there's something greater than me. When I do that as a way of life, it smashes ego. Every principle that we use in Alcoholics Anonymous is designed to puncture, smash, debilitate ego. Alcoholism and ego are co-joined. If I touch one, I get the other. And it's on. All I got to do is go there, and I get the whole thing. Every resentment I ever had, every opinion I ever had, every attitude I ever had, I get it all back right now. So to practice this, can I go to this power? Can I ask this power to be with me? Can I petition this power? Can I petition God? Can I say when I'm in the line at the bank, God, could you be with me right now? Could you calm me down? Could you settle my mind down? Could you help me? Could you just stay here with me right now for a minute? And in the asking, in the forming of those words in my mind, this all happens in my mind, in the act of asking, my prayer is answered because I stopped obsessing. It's sublime. In the act of the prayer is answered. And I only know this from empirical evidence because I tried it. Don't do anything because I say do it. Try it yourself. See if it works. And in the third step, that there's a correct use of the power I do have. I have willpower. I make a decision to turn my will in my life over to the care of this power greater than human power. My will is my thinking, my thoughts. It's not all right for me to sit around thinking about shooting cocaine. I'm making a decision. I'm not going to think those thoughts because the things I think about, I will create in my life. The things I do are only sequels to my thoughts. And to turn my life, that's my actions. I don't break into people's houses anymore. I don't steal. I don't lie to people. It makes for a manageable life, and it makes for a good life. I love the life I have today. I get to do the kinds of things I like to do with people I like to do it with. I can be a friend to my friends. I can be a family member to my family members. I have great enjoyment. I have big laughs. I appreciate every moment of my life. It's not going to last forever. One day it's going to end. I know that. So I appreciate every moment of my life today. And I'm out of time. Thanks for letting me share.